And thank you very much for staying with us here on PM Express. Tonight, we are having a conversation about the impending fuel price hikes. If you're in this country, you must have heard from several groups, including the GPRTU tonight, from the OMCs, the oil marketing companies, the BDCs. Everybody else is saying we are about to increase fuel. And some of them say substantially. Why? We're going to get into that tonight. So they said also the government side, the state agency side, saying, well, we're anticipating that, and so we want to see how we could help with some relief. And so the MPA had come in with some levies freezes. We're going to talk about that all here on PM Express. But let's go through what we know so far. Let's start with the relief. And we'll get into why this very shortly, because the MPA issued a statement yesterday, and in which they announced that government has frozen the price stabilization recovery levy on these three products. So for diesel, this is going to mean a 16 peso per liter freeze. For petrol, 16 pesos per liter freeze. Diesel, 14 pesos per liter freeze. And then LPG, liquefied petroleum gas, 14 pesos per kg. What does that mean in reality? What it means is that currently, the petrol, you're buying petrol at 16 cedis is going to be zeroed, right? I mean, if you pesos, it's going to be zeroed. Diesel, the 14 peso that is on it because of the price stabilization recovery levy will also be zeroed. And then on the LPG, the 14 pesos that is on it will also be zeroed. In real terms, when we come to the how much you're paying for these products now, this is what it will mean. Currently, you're paying 6 cedis, 52 pesos for petrol per liter. If you do the calculations based on this 16 peso that is now going to be zeroed, you are looking at a reduction. And now you're going to be paying 6 cedis, 36 pesos. Some look at it and say, but this is too small. But if you are buying, this is per liter, by the way. So if you're filling your tank, for example, cumulatively, you begin to see how this becomes some big savings for you. But is it big savings? We'll get into that very shortly. So we're talking about some 2.45% drop there in the price you pay for petrol per liter. So that is what it is. That's what it comes down to, 2.45%. And I've had a conversation that this is too small. But why is it 2 months freeze and not a forever scrapping? We'll get into that. And then if you do diesel, diesel is currently per liter. You're buying it for 6 cedis, 52 pesos per liter. That will mean a 6 cedi, 38 peso reduction, which is a 2.08% drop in what you pay for diesel. LPG too has 2.05% drop because you're now going to be buying it at 7 cedis, 44 pesos per liter because of the freezes that has been announced. In spite of this, we've heard today the LPG Marketers Association announced that from next week, the price per kilo is expected to go up from next week by 40 pesos. They've announced today in a statement that they issued, 40 pesos. But why is that? We'll get into that very short because they're talking about, there's a global context to this conversation that we need to have. The transport unions also tonight also had a statement out. The GPLTU and one other union together issued a joint statement tonight. They threatened to increase their transport fares by 20%. And this is in spite of the announcement that we just talked about by the MPA. So really what is happening with the fuel prices that has led to all these announcements? If you look at cumulatively over the period, globally, global outlook, we are looking at, this is 2021 cumulative price increase from January to October. Prices on the world market had gone up. And if you put all together cumulatively for petrol, $3, $4, $6, and then diesel, $2.70. That's cumulatively if you put together from January to October. That tells you a story of what is happening globally and how that is impacting on these prices. But let's have a Ghana conversation. What can be done? What is the reality we are facing? Some have said in the wake of these global price increases, the best way out is not price levy freezes. It is a complete scrapping of some of these levies that are not needed. We'll talk about that. Stay with me. My guests are seated after the break.
Hello, my name is Nathaniel Atto. You can catch up with all the fun and inspiration on the Joy Sports link here on Joy 99.7 FM, together with all other shows over and over again. It's very simple. All you need to do is go to myjoyonline.com/podcast and relive all of those fun moments over and over again. Joy 99.7 FM, your radio for discerning listeners.
Joy 99.7.
And thank you very much for joining us here on PM Express. My guest joining us here in the studio is Kojo Poku. He's an energy analyst who joins us in the studio. We also have joining me in the studio is Mohammed Abdul Kudus. He is the communications manager for the National Petroleum Authority. Delighted to have both gentlemen in the studio with me. Also joining me tonight is Kweku Ajumandia. He is with the oil marketing companies, and as I've indicated, they've announced that you can expect some increases themselves. But I wonder whether the levies that have been frozen, whether that will make any difference to that. We will also be joined by John Jinapo, who is a ranking member of the Mines and Energy Committee in Parliament. He's MP for Yape Kuzogu. Why? Because the MP's announcement is subject to parliamentary approval. So it will be interesting to find out what Parliament plans to do when they resume on the 26th of this month. Also joining me now is Imor Abbas. He is the spokesperson for the GPRTU, and they also issued a statement tonight on this matter. As you can imagine, there have been 3 different statements. One from the LPG marketers. We've had the GPRTU and other transport unions also coming forth with theirs. I want to get into that very quickly before I come to the studio, because Imor Abbas, thank you for your time here on PM Express.
Thank you very much, and good evening for calling.
Yes. So tell me, I mean, you've announced tonight that you plan on increasing transport fares by 20%, correct?
Yes, but that wasn't the first option.
Okay. What was the first option?
The first option is that we have identified about 5 or 6 taxes, levy, and margins that we said the government should strike out. We realized from May this year up to this October, significantly fuel prices has gone up. Somewhere in May, a liter of, let me use fuel, representing petrol and diesel, which we normally use. Where somewhere in May, a liter is priced 6 cedis, 8 pesos. Currently, it's around 6 cedis, 50 pesos, representing 42 pesos increment within this shortest possible time. And it has affected our business a lot. You know, a driver who works and makes sales of roughly about 100 Ghana a day is being paid around 200 Ghana, twice the daily sales. And we've been doing this work because every day when you close, you get about 10 cities or 20 cities. So if you multiply these 20 cities that you get daily times 26 working days, plus the 200 cities being given as your monthly salary, then you get something reasonable. But each time fuel is being increased, you lose part of the 20 cities or 10 cities that you take daily. And it has gotten to a stage where we've realized we are working without earning anything. Hence, we have to research and look for some of the margins, levies, and taxes that we feel is no longer necessary. Government should strike it out so that it to reduce the cost of fuel that we are buying. We are not saying those who are using private cars are not buying fuel. They buy, but because we are professional drivers, we work with the fuel. We've been buying a lot, and comparing what we do now or the money we lose is now. A day, if you use about 10 gallons, this 42 on a liter times the 10 gallons you use a day times the 26 working days in the month. I mean, we are losing a lot, meaning if care is not taken, there will be a time nobody will join the driving industry. Hence, we have to research and look for what we have searched for and come out. All we are saying is government should strike it out. Currently, we are buying a gallon of petrol around 29 cedis on pesos. If government listen to us and reduce this tax levy and margins, a gallon of petrol will reduce around 18 cedis. We've taken into consideration the increment in world market of the crude oil prices, but we feel it has gotten to a level where it is too high for us. So all we are saying is government should look at it and take these taxes, levies that we brought. Else, we have no choice than to come up with the second choice, which is an upward adjustment in lorry fares.
So specifically, which of the levies and margins have you identified that you want?
We identify special petroleum and levy posts, the energy sector and energy recovery. We make the two. We believe the two are almost the same, and we are suggesting government should reduce the two to about 30 pesos. So I will identify about 5 or 6 of them, of which you saw in the press release that we brought up.
Yes, but the MPA yesterday announced that government has frozen the price stabilization recovery levy.
Which is one of our 5 or 6 suggestions, but that is just one of the 5 that we brought up. It's just one of it. So if we are today to come up with about 20% upward adjustment, with that, it means it won't be that much. But even with that, government says for only 2 months, but we are asking for total striking out. Yes.
So just to say that what you're saying is the price stabilization recovery levy that is frozen is not enough.
It's not enough.
Okay.
Yeah, that is only one of the 6 or 5 that we brought up.
Okay.
So it should, as you know, we believe in dialogue. We haven't got into the second option. So government should listen to us and look at it carefully and find a very good solution to it. After all, it won't benefit only the professional commercial drivers. It will benefit everybody. And we feel look at one of the taxes like the bus levy. I mean, it's no longer useful to anybody. Some of them, government should really have a look at it and come up with something. If we are at the wrong side, government should say it. And if we are the good side to government should say, but you, the journalist, normally you have to make sure right things are being done. It's not just government needed money for development, so all the burden government has have to be put on one section. Say government can still look for money elsewhere so that all of us will contribute. But currently, it is only those who have cars and those of us who are commercial, professional drivers who are suffering. And we are suffering much more than others because we buy a lot and we depend on it and we generate our income from it. Hence our research into what we've come up with.
Okay. Thank you very much, Imoro, for your time. So that is the GPLT's plan there, and they want this done, and they're warning that they'll do this increase very shortly. Let me bring Abdul. So you had that. First of all, explain to me what prompted the decision to freeze the price and stabilization levy.
Okay, thank you very much. Let me greet your team and viewers tonight. Basically, is the continuous engagement with the ministry and, for that matter, government of the activities down there and what is actually observed of the effect of prices out there. So part of what we did as NPA was to engage the ministry to try to see if there could be a certain tinkering in the petroleum price build-up so that at least the rising effect of prices at the pump could actually be mitigated. As we are aware, prices at the world market is going up because of the deregulation that we've actually accepted for ourselves as a people. Anytime there is a change in price on the world market, there is a direct translation of its effects at the pump. And so because the crude actually is going up primarily out of increasing demand, it is actually bringing a lot of effect at the pump, and prices are going up. So the engagement that I alluded to actually led to government to buy into that suggestion to look again at components of what it controls on the price build-up. And I think that immediate remedy that was convincing to tackle was actually the zeroing or the suspension of the stabilization and recovery levy. And I think that is what government did, and that is what NPA communicated. We're hoping that is going to be probably a certain good news to all of us come the effect of it. But obviously, the market out there is still volatile, and we still are having some of these challenges. And basically what informed it is just to empathize and try to see how you
but
can
this is a freeze for 2 months.
Yes, it's a freeze for 2 months.
Why 2 months and not more?
2 months most probably just to allow a certain period so you can do the review. We all know how world prices of crude can actually be volatile. Within a month, it can change several times, okay? And so 2 months probably is enough a period that you would be able to do a certain review to see whether you need to sustain the suspension, you need to bring it back, or you probably need to do anything that would automatically or ultimately bring about a certain win-win situation.
I get a sense that that review will depend on what the world market price is.
Obviously.
If it's dropped,
obviously,
then
obviously.
you reinstate it.
Obviously.
If it stays the same as it is now or it climbs higher, you probably will maintain it.
Absolutely, because I think that if there were no discussions about increases at the world market, we probably would not be talking about the issue of removal of that tax, that levy. Remember, it is there for a purpose, okay? And for the fact that you're going to remove it, that purpose is going to be hampered, okay? And the government would have to look elsewhere to sustain the particular reason for which that levy was actually instituted. So I guess it is just something that government feels that why not? There's the need to try to empathize and see how you can probably cushion the increasing effect of the prices of crude out there or the related fuel products out there. And that is why this particular decision has been taken. I believe the discussion would continue. Obviously, with what is going out there, the discussion would continue. Where it is possible for something to be done, why not? I'm not sure government would shy away.
I mean, you had the GPLT rep say it is simply not enough. They want it not suspended, but scrapped. But then there are other levies and margins that also need to go permanently.
Yes, suspension scrapping, I'm not sure it makes any difference at all. Because like I said, after 2 months, government could still decide to suspend again. Okay, and
but if it's suspended, it means it can return at any point, at any time the government deems it. But if it's scrapped, it's no longer there. That's what they want.
Even as I agree, because I think I need to put it out that just like the gentleman who spoke, and just like you, I'm equally a consumer of the product. So the effect of the prices out there equally has impact on me. Okay, so when it goes down, because I go to the pump, I buy fuel into my car, it is not as if I probably have a certain free fuel somewhere that I don't care or don't mind so much about the prices of fuel at the pump. I certainly I'm bothered, okay, when it is going up, and certainly I'll take a certain reprieve when it is coming down. So whatever that would be done to bring prices within a certain acceptable limit, why not? I think that would all go for it. But I speak for NPA. Whatever government or the bodies for which the taxes, levies, and margins go to decide to tinker with it and communicate same with us, we would input it in our price build-up and then let it reflect at the pump.
I mean, could you, difficult times, Definitely difficult times.
For
I mean, for us consumers, me and you, for the government, because they have to juggle this. And now we're hearing from transport operators, we are hearing from LPG, everybody saying this is going to go up. And
I don't think the government take this thing serious enough. I don't think they do. Look, we've been calling for the pricing, the deregulation, and the pricing process to be reviewed. The current CEO promised civil society that he's going to do it, and true to his word, there was a committee that was set up. Some of us felt that some of the people on the committee shouldn't be on the committee. But we were told that, look, it's been set up, we should submit our views. We did. There was an engagement at Fiesta Royal last week. So you see that the current CEO of MPA is trying to look at it. But for us, the reason I said I don't think government is serious enough is that petrol is a necessity. We cannot choose not to buy. Okay? So the attention in some countries is a national security issue. Now, it can either be the fall or a rise of any government. You heard the gentleman on the phone saying that he's asking for 5 margins and levies to be scrapped, and he mentioned bust margin, doesn't know why we should pay it. It's not. He's ill-informed. Government is not even informing the populace of why he's taking some of these monies. If bust does not get that money, there's a lot that will go wrong in this country. You understand? So the issue why I said that I don't think government is serious enough is that there are some mechanisms that government itself can take charge of. Key among them is the FX. Okay? Because if you look at the price difference between what we were at pre-COVID, January, March 2020, and what we are now, the price shouldn't be where it is if the dollar to the cedi had been managed. So we realize that the dollar to the cedi, the FX, is the biggest influencer in that price build-up. Because whatever we do, when we take it from the pump, what do? We take the cedis and buy dollar and import the product. The second part of it is how that space is regulated. We have 172 OMCs. Why? OMC business is the only business you don't need capital to start. Meanwhile, you don't need. Look, if you know somebody who has a station, get 3 or 4 stations together, BDCs will run to you, give you product on credit. All 3 of us go to the pump, pay our money. He takes 30 to 60 days to pay the BDC. No OMC do spot buy. The Vivos, the Total, the Goys, they're all buying on credit. So the minute you have a filling station, there are 42 BDCs. All these 42 BDCs, then is the number game. So the product they bring in, if it sits in a tank and it doesn't sell, they lose money. The outlet where these things are sold is the OMC, which is the forecourts. So they bring it in, they rush to these forecourts to sell them there, and these forecourts do not need to have cash to pay for it because the BDC needs somewhere to sell the product. So he'll give it to you on credit, you sell it, 45 days later, you give him his money. Meanwhile, that 45 days, credit has now kicked in. The interest charges and all those things has eaten away some of the money. FX losses has come in within that period. So you realize that the BDCs are crying, that they are being squeezed on their margins. The OMCs, who do not have to have money to start this business, okay, are the ones who are now taking our money. God knows what they do with it within 30 days to 45 days before they pay the OMC, before they pay the BDC. In some instances, some OMCs are taking money, they owe the BDC, they've not paid, but they are building other new stations.
You've run an OMC before?
No, I have not. I have not run an OMC before. Okay? But the point is, the OMC business is such that, why is it that you can't do a spot buy? Why do you need 40 to 60-day credit after I have paid you for the product? So the inefficiency, what Ghanaians are suffering from, is a system which has been put in place and nobody is taking a handle of it to basically regulate it line by line.
That's what MPA
No, it's a deregulated market. They are only looking at, okay, indicative prices. They do estimations. Okay, we think that within this margin, yeah, okay. We buy the product in weight and sell it in volume. You understand what that is? Okay, so we buy it per metric ton, which is the weight of the product, but we sell it per liter, which is volume. So there's a conversion that is done. And the conversion, they use an average to convert it using the density of the product to convert it from metric ton to the liter, to the liters. Now, when I brought this up, my brother senior told me that, oh, there is a price escalation and de-escalation that is used to check this. But my concern is that in that space, there is too many overestimation. There's too many estimates that goes on, not specifics. So what me and you are paying at the pump, a lot of the things that goes in there are estimations.
The price freezes, will they make a difference?
Yes, of course. 16 pesos off the pump, of course it will make a difference. But the point is that...
I mean, but the GPL to you, they buy the bulk of it. They say it will...
Let me tell you what, if I'm government, I will do the 16 pesos, which I can. Okay, I wouldn't touch anything else. If they want to increase prices, government, they can go to the Ministry of Transport and do the negotiations and increase prices. You'll have the dominoes effect in the economy. That is why I'm saying that I don't think government takes it serious enough.
But what
because you understand what I'm saying? Because it has a dominoes effect in the whole economy. And when prices comes down at the pump, that increment never comes down again. Okay? So if I'm government, I will do more to make sure that those increment doesn't happen.
How?
But I honestly, sorry?
How can the government do that?
By looking at the price. Because look, we need to cap the OMC margin. You can't leave the OMC. OMCs in January, March, were doing 30, 35 pesos a liter as their margin. Today, some of them are doing between 60 to 70 pesos per liter. So it's a deregulated market, so the margin is not capped. And we are paying for inefficiency of an OMC. You're going to have Mr. Ajimendia on, and you can ask him.
He's on now. I mean, let me bring in Mr. Ajimendia. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Mr. Ajimendia?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, so tell me.
Kofi is making some correct on the assertions Kofi is making.
Okay, Kojo, that's Kojo Poku. Yes. Give me your quick reaction. Give me your quick reaction to that, and then you can give me your specific take on the issue.
It's business that we are talking about. We are not talking about charity stuff.
Thank you.
And that's number one. Number two, this talking about credit. There's a cash component which he didn't say. If you always buy from the BDC, you buy at cash, it's at a discount. If it's credit, you pay more. I mean, that's what it is. And the BDC want to get his product off because of the forex exchange, as he mentioned. The other thing that we also talk about is the fact that we should cap the margin of the OMCs. What does that mean? It means we are throwing out deregulation. Yes. If we don't care, if the government policy is to just remove the deregulation, then we should just move out. Because even when the price is high, competition will break you down. For instance, this window that we are talking about, this window is supposed to, the actual price for petrol will be 6.76. The highest price will be 6.76. And what are we seeing? 6.5? It's because of competition. That's the best of deregulation. If you want to set the regulation, let's go back to the regulation. We pretend then we have fuel shortages. What government will not be able to. See, that these issues that he just quoted are not the issues at play now. One of the significant things that he mentioned, which is worthy of note, is talking about the cedi dollar relationship. That's very key. If we can hold that one, then we review some of the taxes, just like earlier speakers have said. It will go a long way to help out. That's very pragmatic. Then one thing that we also have to realize that in this country of ours, we don't have very good public transport system. If we should have very good public transport system, I don't think it will be easy. Government has compiled enough money on these subsidies and funds and that kind of thing that could go to show up as a subsidy the public transport. And most of us, I'm sure a lot of private people who just put their cars out, enjoying the public transport.
I mean, let me ask you.
The hard rule is that, let me say, let me have, the hard rule is that sometimes you don't want to do the difficult job. The difficult job is, you have DPR2 crying. Most of our workers use Trotro, use Uber. You must start thinking about how we can get them. Because elsewhere, government, if you go to Philippines, this, what we are talking about, happens. Fuel price is just going up, and they have deregulated. What did the government do? Government decided to get the subsidies direct to the people who are carrying the mass of the people. Then give the discount to the OMCs who are supposed to do the fuel. So he left the liberalization process going on. But there was an ingenious way of getting the money to the holding the masses.
So what you're suggesting is that government should subsidize commercial transport operators.
Look at where we are really, really badly hit. For instance, people who are bringing food from the hinterland to the cities. We need to take care of them. We need to take care of the people, masses who are always going to work with Lotro, who you are using Uber. If we look at the health services, the nurses and doctors, we can just do that for the time being, so that we can get this to run. For us, we are within business.
So that begs the question. The price stabilization levy freezes that was announced yesterday. How much of a difference would it make at the pumps? Because you are the OMCs, you operate it. How much of a difference?
What's happening is, for us, once government announces that we just get a letter from the MPA, and we go ahead and plug into the price board app, then it shows up on the pump. And as we speak, we haven't had any letter. So basically, we are not going to do anything. Until we get the letter, then when we get the letter, then obviously mandate us, because we have to really comply. Some kind of procedure.
Okay. I mean, that is dependent on parliamentary approval. So but yes, when the parliamentary approval happens, you've seen the proposed levies. How much of a difference would it make at the pumps if you get the letter you have to implement?
Basically, for just like we alluded earlier. Basically, if someone even grants you 1 peso, that's helping you. 1 peso. So 16 pesos is a step in the right direction. If I were consumers, I would just pick it and put it in my pocket and ask for more. Take the left hand and ask for more. I mean, we just move on, because there are plethora of taxes in there, which our own dear parliament passed this one for us to comply with. So obviously, if things are too bad, I think the same parliament can go back and do their work and get us some relief. We are not. This is not the time. I must be frank. It's not something like we are OMTs are profit. Oh, you see, when we have fuel price going up like this, the effect on us is that our volumes also go down. And of course, we have got major overheads which are still sitting there. And if the volumes go down, this is so bad. Now, for us, we have to optimize between the price that we set. That's when this commodity price is going up. This is a volume loss. So it's kind of optimization that we have to do. And it's not been easy. There have been times where even our margin that we have to cut it off with negative margins. Just to make sure that we get the volumes through, because we have a lot of so these taxes, nobody will ask us to make sure that we sell them before we pay the taxes. We pay the taxes as and when we sold them. In this country. Collect this one for government.
I mean, very finally, before I bring in... sorry.
Each one was help. So Let's get government on the table so that we can move.
When is the next? We are told to expect price increases at the pumps this Friday. Is that taking effect? At least 7% increase.
Oh yeah, the trend is showing that way. You know, we don't know what will happen tomorrow. I mean, like Ngudu said earlier on, prices are so volatile. If it does, it's 7%, it's going to be increased. Definitely, it's something we have to pass.
Okay, so when should consumers expect that increase to reflect at the pumps?
Basically, it's the end of the window, the beginning of the next window. Normally, that's how we work.
So the next,
but then it has been sorted out procedurally. Obviously, we can just get out the public may not be that much of.
yeah, I mean, I can guarantee you that when is the next price window and the beginning of the next one?
We are just ending the 15th and we start on this.
On the 16th. So this will be Saturday morning.
Yeah.
This will be Saturday morning. Right? Is
Yes.
that okay? So what it is that I mean I can guarantee you that the processes to have the freezers approved will not happen before Saturday morning. So what you're saying is Saturday morning, consumers should expect at least a 7% increase in products at the pump, in price of products at the pumps.
You know what I was saying? Just like Kofi said, we take this and get this one done. Oh, hurry by Saturday.
Sorry, please say that again. Please say that again.
What I'm saying that if we are all serious, all the stakeholders are serious, government, us, serious, can get this leave done
before Saturday. Okay, I mean I'm having
in
challenges.
our area, we are seeing things go to Parliament overnight and it's done. Now, why is it something which is going to affect things? But from now till winter time, we're going to see this kind of thing happen.
Okay, let's hopefully we can have a more stable control. But that's when do you hope for this to become effective?
Okay, so we at NPA actually are looking at the next pricing window, that is from 16th.
Which is this Saturday. This is what he's talking about.
Absolutely. Like
but you need parliamentary approval.
Obviously.
But Parliament is not recess till 26th.
I don't think when it's zeroed out, we need parliamentary approval. When it's
no, but in their statement, they said they need parliamentary approval.
When it's zero?
Yeah,
yes,
when it goes to zero.
Yeah,
they do. I mean, that
is
MP.
It comes under the Fees and Charges Act or something.
Yes, it does.
Okay. So Parliament must certainly look at it. But like I said, we are looking at the next pricing window. It's possible Parliament could take the decision tomorrow. I'm not too sure.
Parliament is on recess.
It is on recess, but
till 26th.
Yes, I don't know whether they need a total recall for that decision to be taken. I don't speak for Parliament, and I don't know how they do their work. Probably when Jinapo comes
Let's talk to him because he's on the line now. Mr. Jinapo, thank you for your time here on PM Express.
First of all, let me apologize to you. I am at a program in Akosoma, and I wish I could join live. Because your program is very, very interesting. And I wish I was there to ask some questions. So let me thank you, first of all. But please, let me apologize to you and your viewers for my inability to join via Zoom. It's just that the internet is not very good yet.
I mean, because we really need you here now. The OMCs have just said that by Saturday morning, consumers should expect 7% rise in the price of fuel at the pumps. What will save that situation is the announcement by the MPA yesterday that they've frozen the price of stabilization levy. That could make an impact somewhat.
So the first question is that on what authority is the MPA freezing that price reduction, or is it the price stabilization levy? Because if you go to the Constitution, it's only Parliament that can impose taxes, and it's only Parliament that can take away taxes.
Yes, I mean, just to clarify, the MPA said in a statement that what they've announced is subject to parliamentary approval.
So that means that you are not reducing the prices now.
No, yes.
And that until Parliament resumes on 26th, the minister then has to lay the document. It is referred to the committee goes to deliberate, brings it to the plenary approves, and it's only 2 months. Is that not what they want to do?
2 months, yes.
So the first thing is that the MPA should tell us how much do we have in the price stabilization levy. The essence of the price stabilization levy is to accumulate money so that when there's an increment like we are expecting, you can fall on that money to cushion consumers. So they don't need to even tell consumers that we are suspending, withdrawing, or whatever with the price stabilization. The price stabilization is supposed to be accumulating money. And when I check from the energy sector levies account, there's so much money in that account. It's unfortunate that I'm at a program. That's why I said I wish I was there. I would have pulled all the figures. Because we are talking of hundreds of millions of cedis, which can cushion consumers for a considerable period of time before Parliament resumes and decide whether to suspend that tax component or not. Because it's a tax. It is the Energy Sector Levies Act. So I'm surprised that the MPA says that they are waiting for Parliament to resume. So I'm asking that MPA, how much do you have in the price stabilization levy? And how many weeks, days, or months can that amount cushion consumers? I think we should answer that question.
Do you have that
answer that question.
The MPA's rep is here. Do you have the answer?
No, I think that we need to, first of all, you alluded to the issue of we not having to freeze, but only announced what the government has decided.
Subject to Parliament.
Subject to Parliament.
But he's raised a fundamental question there,
yes.
that the price stabilization levy is designed for a period like this.
Yes.
So what is, how
It's
much
a fund that money goes into.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
how much is in that fund?
How much is that fund?
Okay,
to cushion us all?
No, so this is not something that we control. Okay, the levies and taxes are not within our jurisdiction or domain. It's government. What we only
So the
do is
finance
that,
ministry?
Yes, so what we only do is that when the decision is taken and is communicated to us, we input it in the price build-up equation.
So you
that it
regulate this
reflects-
implementation?
Absolutely. So it is not for us to answer that question because we don't
No, but
control
you
that.
are quoting the president. You say under the instruction of the president.
In your statement?
Yes.
In your statement, which means that the president, that's the highest body. We didn't
Yes.
vote for MPA. We didn't even vote for the Minister of Finance. Excuse me to say, the president is the president. He has executive authority. He only tries to exercise his authority through ministries, departments, and agencies. So when you are issuing that statement, the first thing all of us ought to be clear is that the price stabilization levy, how much do we have in that account? Even as I speak, I'm trying to refer to the document so that I can check 2020, which is the latest one, how much sits in that account. And why are you not using that amount to cushion consumers? So that you said that we are cushioning you. Maybe there's a 7% increment, there's a 15% increment, but don't put it onto consumers. Consumers have been paying all this while. And the essence is that today crude oil is about $80 per barrel.
Yeah.
Even there are two things. When crude oil moves up, our oil revenues also move up.
Yes.
Because we are a net exporter. We are not a net importer of oil. Let me put that on record. We are a net exporter of oil. So when crude oil prices go up, Ghana and its citizens must benefit from that increment. They must not suffer. So when crude oil prices are going up, it means that from our current and participating interest, and also from royalties and all that, our revenues are going very high. So why should Ghanaians suffer when crude oil prices are going very high? Also, Ghanaians have been paying all this while into the price and stabilization levy. It's for two things: to subsidize what we give to the fishermen, premix fuel, and also to save something for periods like this, so that Ghanaians can be cushioned. So the broader question is, why are we not doing this? I mean, who is there from the MPA?
Well, he's a communications manager. He says they've not got the answers there.
My brother, kindly avert your minds to all these issues, because consumers ought to be cushioned. They can't continue to suffer. We can understand. And then the other issue, I've heard the vice president state that the cedi is the most stable currency today. I'm sure you've heard that.
Yes.
So why are we being penalized because the cedi is falling? Is that not a contradiction that we are saying that the cedi is so stable, we are doing so well, In fact, I've even said that the cedi is the best performing currency in Africa, the second best. I've heard that. And yet we are being told that because the cedi is falling, Ghanaians ought to suffer. Meanwhile, inflation rate is about double digit. We are around 10%. Because of that, salaries have been increased by just 4%. When you increase salaries by 4% and the inflation rate is 10%, it means that we are worse off in terms of our purchasing power. So all of us, not just the MPA, MPs, whether NDC, MPP, let's begin to look at how we can cushion consumers in these very difficult moments, especially as we are recovering from COVID. And so these are legitimate issues that I'm raising. And I hope that the MPA spokesperson can address some of these issues, because these are germane issues that go to the core of the issues we are discussing.
Yeah, I mean, Kudus.
Yeah, so let me do a quick one. This is not something that ordinarily I would want to speak to, but it says that it has been repeated over and over in the media. It has actually gotten me thinking, because there's a certain absolute statement that is made that once the prices of crude is going up, automatically government is going to be raking in more revenue. I think that we're looking at just one angle of it. It only goes to be true if the quantity that is actually being produced equally goes up, or probably is to the projected level.
No.
Not
The
at all.
budget price
revenue
is
is a
54.
function of
Budget
price
price is
and quantity.
54.75. That's the
Your
budgeted
total
price.
revenue is
Your
a function
revenue
of
is
price
80.
and quantity.
So basically, the difference is being
I
made
just
by
sat in
government.
a meeting here.
I agree.
Can you indulge me for just 1 minute?
Give me a second, I'll come back to you. Yes,
Just 1 minute. I just sat in a meeting with the Minister of Finance. Our quantities are not doing bad at all.
Okay.
We've looked at 2020 figures. We've looked at 2021 figures. 2021, you are not doing bad. And prices are skyrocketing. And your total revenue is a function of price and revenue. So if your price last year, price was almost negative. People were even looking for customers or the consumer to even dump the commodities, especially with the forward market. Crude oil went as low as 30. In fact, if you look at the futures market, it went to 0 and even negative. Today we are doing 80. My brother, 80 is more than 100% increment. And your volumes, which is the quantity, hasn't been affected. So I beg you. These are empirical facts. You can't miss those issues. I beg you.
Okay, yes.
Yes, so I think that we ought to be guided, because I sit here and I speak for NPA. The revenue that we talk about, or the components of the price build-up, none is actually controlled or comes to NPA. So I realize that Honorable Jinapo keeps asking questions about some funds and what we're doing with it and those things. They don't come to us. We only regulate. So like I said earlier on, when decision is taken, okay, for a certain tinkering of either the tax component, the levies, the statutory margins, the margins that goes to the dealers and distributors, when that decision is taken to either increase or reduce it, we only then factor it in.
I get that. I think that is going down.
So the question that he
So I mean,
repeating,
fundamentally, that you don't know. You don't have answers to that.
It is not for us to be able to answer that, because it doesn't come to us.
It's a question that we'll pursue and get some answers to.
Absolutely. So it doesn't come to us at all.
What's your reaction to all this?
Well, like my brother John Jinapo said, the government is making an extra of $26.13. So the budgeted crude oil price is 54.75. Today, if it's 80.88, which is what the next window the price is going to be, then government is making $26 per every barrel that is making, which is extra.
Going to use some of that to cushion the consumer.
Well, the consumer, look, I think I have a different perspective when you come to these consumer things.
Okay.
We're a country that don't pay taxes. Okay? We don't pay a lot of taxes as Ghanaians. We don't. And we might laugh about it or we don't. But that's not our problem. It is the people that we voted into power problem to fix our tax system. They have not fixed it. So we don't pay taxes as a country. We want roads. We want Ubuntu. We want hospitals. We want education. How is government going to do all these things? If we keep asking that they should go and scrap 5 levies from petrol, it's the only direct taxes or the indirect taxes that we can now put on some of these Ghanaians who don't pay anything. So for me, if it's left to me, Kojo Poku alone, I will not take anything of that levies and that they are asking for. If I want to tackle this issue, I will look at capping what my brother, Mr. Dia, is saying that is business. It's business that we government allow you to do, okay? So you cannot take advantage of Ghanaians. You cannot at a point making 35% to run your business, but you think you can make 85%, you're making 35 pesos to run your business, then decide one day that you're gonna make 80 pesos to run your business. But because it's a commodity, that is necessity, I can decide to drink milk or not drink milk. I can decide to buy a Unilever product or not. I can decide to buy a Nestle product or not. I cannot decide not to buy fuel. So that is the most important thing that people should realize about fuel. So you, the OMC, doesn't have a luxury to say that it's business. It's not. It's government.
Because the money doesn't go to the OMC.
No, but I'm just talking about their margins. I'm saying that if people are saying that government should reduce taxes, my point is that we should now also cap their margin because they're making as much as 70 pesos per litre now. So they should cap it. That's my problem. If government is giving 14 pesos, everybody is saying taxes, taxes, taxes. Why are we letting people now, why are we Ghanaians paying for people's inefficiency in running businesses? 172 OMCs in this country. Why?
Yeah.
But so I think that is where the point that Kojo raised earlier on probably should be something that we should all try to look at again. This is all business of the deregulation. I think for every project or for every intervention, there are pros and cons to them. Mr. Ajimendia rightly alluded to the possibility of fuel shortages and things but for the deregulation.
It's not true.
It's a possibility.
Well, everything is a possibility, but it's not
obviously, true. Obviously. So, my chief executive has alluded to it.
Okay, I mean, so
can I make a final point? I beg you.
Please do.
I beg you. Because the OMCs do not determine their margins. It's the NPA that determines the margin for them. And I'm sure that they would have factored in all the other issues and to determine that for an OMC to be afloat, you require a certain margin. Don't also forget that there is also a financial cost when it comes to OMCs. I don't want to be speaking for them, but I'm just saying that let's look at this. But I refer to the ESLA performance, 2016, 2020. And this is page 20. Price stabilization and recovery levy. Program collection, actual collection, lodgement, and the differentials. 484 we must be having about 644 million in that account.
Yeah.
Because 644 million is not a small amount.
Is it the 2020 report or the 2021?
This is the 2020 annual report on the management of the energy sector.
Yeah.
Let me quote the full document for you. I always prefer that. Ministry of Finance, Republic of Ghana, 2020 annual report on the management of the energy sector levies and accounts.
Yeah.
Presented by the Ministry of Finance, July 2020. So it's the most current that I can refer to.
Okay.
And so if you have over 600 million sitting in that account, and if you refer to the 2019 one, they were even borrowing money from this account to pay for pensions.
So definitely, Mr. Junapo, is a question that tomorrow we'll need to get some answers from the finance minister, because I pulled up that document too, and it's there. I mean, there's significant amounts of money sitting in there.
I don't think that money is sitting there.
Well, I mean, they've reported it. They've reported it to Parliament.
Well,
they say it's there.
Well,
they programmed to collect 558 million, and they actually collected, from what I see, this is a 2020 report, 488. So million. So that's really. I mean, let's say this is something we'll pursue.
We can pursue it,
just to get some clarity. Thank you, gentlemen.
$100 million.
Yes.
I don't think Ministry of Finance have $100 million sitting there.
Well, we'll see. We'll get some clarity on this tomorrow. Mr. Jimandra, thank you very much for joining us. Thank you all for joining us. A lot of food for thought. We'll get some more on this for you consumers tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of the evening.